Test, test. Test, test. Okay, hello people, I am here. Hello, Etherforge and Doodlebopped. Long time no see, how's it going? My little webcam shade. Gotta make sure that's blocking the glare. It's a very janky setup. It's just a post-it note stuck to the back of my laptop lid. Gonna just have this Kirkland soft and chewy granola bar, so I'm not just chugging coffee on an empty stomach. I'll mute the mic so you don't hear me chewing. Oh, a non-Gunpla mecha model kit. Which one's that, Doodlebopped? Just rehydrating the wet palette sponge with some fresh water. Oh, the RG Gao Gaigar. I've heard that's a pretty amazing kit. The transformations it does are pretty cool. If I'm thinking of the right one, that is. Alright, we've got 4 people here according to the data. This stream I'll probably mostly be painting these 2 mounted squires the whole time. Got the one I painted back at the beginning of the year here. You might recognize him from the coloring video. Do have other horses that need to be painted though. We got 3 household knights. One with the big ass flag. But for this stream, I think we're gonna be focusing on focusing on the mounted squires. And before we work on this, I don't know what you call it. I'm bad with the names of different kinds of horses. I think the reference photo I was looking at for this one was a Palomino. I didn't use a reference for this horse. I was just like, alright, this will be the one that's base coated with dark flesh tone. And the tail and mane gonna be almost black. I'm gonna mix in a bit of the brown. And I think, excuse me, I think for this one we'll have a bit of like a gradient along the feet and the snoot to that black as well, so I should probably block that out after I paint in the mane. With the Palomino we'll get a little fancier and we'll add the little like white stripe down the front of the face, because that's also in the reference photo. Horses sure are difficult to paint, but it's just because they're interesting creatures with a lot of different kinds of hair. Yeah, we'll do that here. I feel like we'll need just a bit more black. Also, apologies for the extremely disheveled, haggard look of my hair right now. There's a water shortage in my city right now because there's an absolutely massive water main break last week that is being fixed, but it's just a massive tube underground and it's taking a lot to fix, so everyone in the city's being told to conserve water as much as possible. So I'm doing my part and having quick showers and not shampooing my hair. Well, let's move this into frame so you can see that good paint mixing content. Is this gonna be black enough? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Here we go. You know, this goes for like painting most things you're uncomfortable with, but I am getting a bit more comfortable with painting horses now that I've been working on this 100 Kingdoms cavalry. Dare I say, I might be enjoying painting the horses a bit. You know, I've gone through a few waves with my 100 Kingdoms army being like, why did I pick this army when I don't like painting horses? They're very difficult. And also painting human faces, but I know I've said with the human faces before, I got a bunch of them to paint now, and the more I paint the better I get at them, and the less I dislike it. Yeah, so this brown is pretty close to the one being used on the body of the horse. Too close, I'd say, but I will be using, or for this tail and the mane, I'll use a black wash instead of a brown wash probably, so that'll give it the final contrast it needs. It's like if I paint it straight black, then the highlighting process takes just a bit more time, so, and I got lots of painting to do, so I'm going for efficiency here. Hello, Artie Chard. Thanks for watching at work. Happy to be your work entertainment. Alright, well, I might as well paint around start the little gradient going on here. Just do it roughly for now and blend it later, just kind of blocking it in. I almost made the title of this stream a reference to the Barbie movie part when Ken is like, lost interest in the patriarchy when I found out it wasn't about horses. But that's like a few too many characters for a title for my usual like naming conventions or title conventions. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll try it for tomorrow's stream or something. Currently I'm planning to do a stream every morning from now until probably like Tuesday. I got so much painting to do, it's basically painting the whole day until I have to go to GameCon on Thursday. So I figure I might as well do a stream every day in the mornings so that I can start the day off with painting and hopefully just keep rolling into the evening. Also, I didn't give my usual spiel. If there's anything wrong with the audio levels, let me know, and I will adjust. I did something somewhat out of character this weekend. I watched the 2 episodes of that new Star Wars show, The Acolyte. I say out of character because I haven't really engaged much with Star Wars stuff since The Rise of Skywalker came out. I mostly watched The Acolyte because I can't remember his name, but the lead from Squid Game is in it, and also Abigail Thorne from Philosophy Tube is in it. The 2 episodes that are out now, Abigail Thorne hasn't shown up, but the guy from Squid Game plays a cool Jedi. And apparently the actor learned English for this role specifically, so that's cool. And seems like he did a good job. I don't know exactly when he started learning English, but it seems like he really speed ran and went hard on studying. I mean, it's probably... Well, I'm seeing the edited down movie magic version, so maybe he had to do a lot of different takes. Doesn't really matter. I say good for him either way. Learning a second language is probably worth putting in the effort if you're doing it for being in a Star Wars show. And now painting the snoot. Okay, now I'm gonna do some quick blending. Where's the black? Okay, we need to put 2 little dollops of paint on the wet palette to work with here. Maybe a bit more. don't have to worry about any of this kind of horse painting stuff on the household nights because there's so much armor on the horse. There's only a little bit of skin actually showing. And by skin, I mean like the horse's mane, or not its mane, its coat. I don't know these technical horse terms. Alright, so just adding a bit more black into the mix. To go, I guess I might as well paint the hooves if I can. And then intentionally spilling over onto some of the extra dark brown I've just painted. Start getting that gradient action going on. Might hit the hooves with some pure black after this. Just so there's like a bit more, that shape is a bit more distinct. And in terms of non-TV things I watched, I saw Furiosa finally. Was it 2 weeks ago? Very enjoyable. I knew I would enjoy that one just because I loved Fury Road so much. Also, I wanted to apologize for anyone that was hoping I'd be getting back to streaming sooner. Just, life didn't allow for many streams after I put that latest video out. And there was a handful of painting I wanted to just get done off camera real quick because, like I said, painting to a deadline and there's a lot in the pile to do. But we're past that now when we're ready to share the horse painting with you. Okay, now we're gonna start mixing in the pure dark flesh tone. Into the darker mix. And work on the other end of the gradient. Speed painting, and like trying to get a bunch of painting done at once or in a short period of time has always been a bit of a challenge for me because I have a hard time doing like forcing myself to do like a really basic paint job. A lot of time, like I'll just get in the zone highlighting like the folds on a banner or cloth. And like getting lost in the minute details that like most people won't notice, and it's like, come on Liam, the point here is to be painting, just getting everything finished as fast as possible because you need to like get it done. it's hard to turn the painting brain up. Or the highlight and shading brain. And it's like, I know it's perfectly acceptable to just paint on base colors for everything and call it a day. I guess that's never been my style. Even painting like board game minis that aren't the best sculpts, it's like, well, I still gotta at least wash it and dry brush it, come on. Generally when I'm like speed painting a bunch of minis, I won't use I'll only use the extra high quality brushes for like the big important detail parts like eyeballs. So if you see my brush here, you can see it does not hold the tip that well, but still working totally fine for these applications. Okay, now we can basically go to the pure dark flesh tone. We'll go for like almost pure. The last bit of the blending. And I could be trying to blend this gradient more, but as I was saying, along those speed painting lines, I think I just gotta force myself to be like, no, that is a good enough transition. Went a bit far on that one, so I just used my finger to rub it off. That was something I picked up from watching a Warhammer painting tutorial video, or like from the official Games Workshop channel. Or I guess it's called, their YouTube channel I think is just called Warhammer now. I think he was painting the big Marathi centerpiece model for Age of Sigmar. Working on the wings, he would like put on a bunch of paint and then rub away parts with his fingers, so the parts that would stay there would be like the recessed areas of the wings. Okay, now that I'm looking at some parts of the ankles, I'm like, okay, maybe that part will blend just a little bit more. You haven't built a model since the last Gunpla painting stream. That was a while ago. So that would have been like early or mid-May. So it's been like a whole month. And just try and go for some kind of stippling action here. Because, you know, this is supposed to be animal fur, so it doesn't have to be like a super smooth coat of paint. And I'm just gonna see if there's a few areas Of the plain dark flesh tone base coat that need to be touched up here. I think arguably the ears might, like, if I was going off a horse reference photo, the ears might be the darker color, but I like the look when the ears stand out from the mane there, so I'm gonna leave him as the bright brown. Okay, pretty happy with how that horse looks for now. So I think we'll move on. Well, there is a bit of paint on the palette, or there is a bit of this dark brown paint on the palette. So I'll just do some quick shading on the body to use this up. Might as well. Just focus on putting this in the areas that will be covered by shadow. If I go overzealous, I can touch it up later. The eye of the horse could probably use this. And just gonna add a quick drop of the dark flesh tone back to blend that shading I just did in a teeny tiny bit. I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush too. Ooh, the camera's lagging a bit. I'm gonna have to give that a quick reset. Yeah, Doodlebop, it's always good to take those proactive steps to avoid the burnout. Viewers of this channel will know I employ that tactic many times, and it's almost always just switching from painting gunpla to painting miniatures. In this case, I would have to be painting the miniatures either way because I got that deadline of GameCon Canada. You know, I'll be painting so many miniatures for that when I'm back from GameCon Canada, I'll be nice and ready to paint some gunpla again. If you donate on Patreon and check out those Patreon updates, you'll know which gunpla that is. One spoiler I will give is that the next gunpla project will get those free-handed filigree designs like I did on the Ariel and Gushin Delanza kit bash. Okay, I think we can stop working on this horse for a bit. Go on over to the Palomino. And I'll reset the camera so it stops lagging. Alright, with this one being a lighter brown, we need a second coat in some areas where you can see it's not quite strong enough. You've heard Lego's the same plastic as gunpla? I don't know exactly what kind of plastic gunpla is, or Lego, but I wouldn't be surprising if it's the same kind. I know... I can't... No, I think it's all the Conquest plastic is, I assume it's like the same plastic that most miniatures are made of, which is polystyrene or some kind of polystyrene blend. But out of the earlier generations of Parabellum models, they did have some different shades of plastic. It seems like all the stuff they have coming out now is like consistently the same type, and they've like found the appropriate formula. Then of course they do have their resin models. Back in the War Machine and Hordes days, there was some... They had some plastic that was like a strange polystyrene blend that didn't quite work well with plastic cement. I'm glad you like to see the Baroque mecha. That's a good team name. Something to do with Baroque. The Baroque Brigade. I was thinking of a name for my 100 Kingdoms army. I thought of the Bronze Brigade, but then I'm like, I need to look up what the definition of brigade actually is. I don't know what the appropriate size or what the number of like people in my 100 Kingdoms army determines the proper military name to be. It's like I also thought of Bronze Battalion. I'm like, I don't know how many people are actually supposed to be in a battalion. I know in a French style kitchen there's the brigade system. That would be like less individuals than are included in my 100 Kingdoms army. Oh yeah, and this color is Citadel Baylor Brown. The Bachbusters, that's a good one. I'm just imagining a team of mecha called the Bachbusters, and they all have like powdered wigs on and like very frilly collars. That'd be hilarious. I spilled some of this Baylor brown onto the green I painted on the cloth yesterday. It's okay, there's definitely going to be more of that, so I might as well make the mistakes now to clean up later. My history dates are not super fresh. I can't remember what time period the Baroque period actually was in terms of like centuries. Because the designs I used for like, or the inspiration behind the filigreed armor came from like early modern armor references, so like mid 17th century or like late 16th. It's funny, the mounted squires models that I'm painting now are like some of the nicer sculpts in my 100 Kingdoms army. And so like, you know, when a miniature has a naturally nicer sculpt or like just like it's higher quality, I'll automatically like try a bit harder with the painting on it. But in terms of like gameplay, the mounted squires are like, they're a light unit that comes onto the board very fast. And like, they're good at harassing ranged units and stuff, getting into the flanks, but they're also a light unit that dies really fast. So it's like classic wargaming, the mini you put in like the most effort to paint the one that dies first. Hello, Purple Day. Thank you for clicking on the random stream that the algorithm recommended to you. I hope you like horses. Most of the time when you come across my channel, though, it'll be like painting a mecha model. But then sometimes it's like not that. Because I can't just do the same thing over and over again. That leads to burnout. Yeah, the giant feather from the Gushin Dalanza kit bash, that's very Baroque. Oh, hello, another Nate. Oh, so Baroque. Yeah, I wasn't sure if Baroque is like its own period or just like a point of time. So another Nate saying the Baroque came from at some point during the Renaissance. That sounds about right. It's like I do like reading up on history, but most of the music history I learned was back in high school. A lot of the history I've been diving into over the last few years has been more focused on pike and shot warfare, basically. Can you tell I'm a wargamer? Like, I'm almost done reading this book about the 30 Years' War in Germany. And that's been really interesting, but they don't touch on Baroque classical music at all in that book. It's like, I know fashion and style can be very cyclical. It's like 90s fashion is starting to come back in with the youth, or has kind of been back in for a while. But I'm like, why can't it be cyclical, like way further back? Like, I want to wear the outfits that like the Landsknecht mercenaries wore in the Italian wars, like with the big vibrant colors and like big floppy hats and shit. Let's bring that fashion back, please. Yeah, with this older paint and being like a lighter color, there'll be a lot more obvious brush strokes, but it's okay. And the gradient work on this one's going to be a bit more intense. Yeah, kilts are pretty good too. I think I'd rather have some pantaloons than kilts. Capes, I can come and go on capes. Capes can really tie an outfit together though. I'm not much of a hat person in real life, but if it was fashionable to wear like a big audacious floppy hat with a feather in it, things might change. Okay. I'm gonna pull up that horse reference photo and just put it on the stream, actually. Add source media file. Gonna name it horse. Oh, it wasn't saved as a JPEG. Oh, never mind. It's not a big deal. I only need to look at it for a minute anyways. Whoops, I accidentally clicked Discord. Now my computer's opening Discord. Stop. I guess I can. The place I live, it's like Hoth for maybe half the year or like 4 months of the year. It's probably actually like Hoth more like 3 or 4 months of the year, and then another 3 or 4 months of the year it's kind of just like a dry tundra with not a ton of snow. But yeah, I don't have a lot of my body's bad at holding heat, so I'd get too chilly in a kilt. Where's that? Ah, here it is. Got P3 Thrall Flesh. That's what I was using for the mane and the tail on this horse. There was some huge, extremely niche wargaming news this week. I don't know if anyone else heard about it, but Steam Forge Games acquired or is in partnership with Privateer Press now. So Steamforge Games are going to be the main company behind War Machine going forward. And like all the Privateer Press properties except for Monster Apocalypse. Pimp Hat, Cold Desert. Yeah, I guess those hats I'm referring to just are like, would be a pimp hat. Alright, so this light color, we're gonna build up a little gradient on the ankles like we did with the previous horse. But we're also gonna do a kind of like stripe down the forehead. And then there is a gradient to be built along the snoot as well, but that's gonna be some kind of darker brown, which is also gonna go around the eyes a little bit. Okay. Out of the 3 horses in this unit of mounted squires, this one will probably be the most try-hard painted horse. Mostly because of it's got light. I mean, the other one, there's the one the leader is riding, which has light colors, but it doesn't have a stripe like this. No, something tells me that highlighting and shading these light browns is going to be more difficult than the white gray of that one was. Alright, now we're painting starting ankle gradients. I don't know if you call this part of the horse an ankle. I know horse hooves are like weird giant fingers. The more you think about horses, sometimes the weirder they get. Also, I don't know if a Palomino horse would have ever been bred for, like, warfare or not. So, no, like, the horses historically that got to put on armor obviously needed to be like properly bred war horses that were like absolute units. I don't know, maybe in the fiction for Conquest here, the mounted squires don't ride the full-on war horses because they're just squires. But, you know, it's a fantasy war game, so if I paint a horse in colors that, like, is like a breed of horse that is not known for being a war horse, then it doesn't really matter. Alright, now there's probably some areas of the mane that need their base coat reinforced while I've got it on the palette. And yes, this painting would be easier if I was painting the horse separately with the rider not attached, like I did with the leader. But like how I often glue the shields on and then paint the model fully, knowing that it's going to make the painting more difficult, still doing it. And I think that's mostly just because I do a lot of the time I just want to get the model fully built and like play games with it. Because, I let myself play with unpainted models if it's just like the weekly casual gaming night. And so, I don't know, it's impatience, or like, I just want the look of like the model actually holding its shield. If it's a model with like a very large shield that's blocking a lot of areas that need to be painted, then I'll be like, okay, I guess I need to do this the proper painter way. I find a lot of the time having the shield there doesn't, it's like the amount of nuisance it brings is not that bad. All right. Now there's still, let me move the wet palette so you can kind of see the mixing. We got a little bit of wet here still, so just scoop up some thrall flesh and mix it right in there. Let's add a bit more. Yeah, fair enough, Nate. Do your best to not think about how horses work. Horses just exist in that weird spot of like amazing, beautiful creatures integral to human development, but also still a little scary. Alright, and this gradient of the mane won't go as far up the leg as one we did on the other horse. One detail with this sculpt that adds a bit of extra difficulty but is also a cool touch is how there's like flowers sculpted into the place where it attaches to the base. So I think I'm gonna have to, but when I'm gluing on the foliage to the base at the very end of the painting process, I'm gonna have to strategically place some grass around that to like help it blend in with the base, because the look for the bases I go with for both my Spires and my 100 Kingdoms army, it's like I kind of want it to look like agriculture field or something that has been like recently torn up by battle. So it's like mostly got like just like a rugged earth look, but there's patches of different kinds of grass foliage. Like something that could have been a grassy field before, or some crops perhaps, but then it's been trampled by multiple armies. But it was more so just planned to be like efficient and easily replicable, but also like looks nice, because I know I would be doing it over multiple armies. I'm going to top up my coffee and I will return in, say, 1 minute. Okay, I'm back. Back to blending this horse. Good out of context line there. Just dabbing this around the edge. Okay, now let's grab some more Baylor Brown. Baylor Brown is kind of having the same problem that Xeris Purple did in my latest video, where it's like almost empty and a little old, so it's kind of chunky in a few spots and had to be shaken pretty well to be usable. I thought this gradient would be harder to blend, but so far it feels easier than the last one. Yeah, I think the one on the forehead of the horse doesn't need as much blending as the legs do. Also, going off my reference photo, the thrall flesh is not quite bright enough, so I think we'll have to add some white into the mix and kind of stipple that on, but we're also going to be doing that to the mane and tail anyways, in a kind of like a sort of dry brushing. So I guess I'll probably be doing that next. Sorry that when I paint these ankles, sometimes you can't quite see what I'm doing. Alright, I have two white. Okay, I only have one white next to me. I'm not using the two whites I use a lot are the golden high flow titanium white, which is nice and thin. But for this, it'll be more appropriate, because we're doing a sort of dry brushing, it'll be more appropriate to use this less thin game color. Hello, Kitbash Carnage. Thanks for coming. Yes, exactly, another Nate. That's what I thought of when I was like, back to blending this horse. It's like, will it blend? Okay, now we're saying horses are a little weird and scary, but I don't hate them that much. Okay, so our mixer, we're going for a roughly 50-50 with white and the thrall flesh here. Looking, could probably go a bit brighter, but I think that's good. That'll be good for our first pass here. Which brush am I going to use, though? Maybe... Yeah, let's see how this one goes. We're just gonna like dab right in the middle of this shape here. Yeah, that looks appropriate enough. I'm kind of doing a dry brush on the main here. So only want to hit the raised details. Angling the brush in a way so it's mostly like the side of the brush that hits the details so it doesn't go into the recessed areas where we want the pure thrall flesh color to show. Well, we're at 1 hour and 9 minutes for the stream. Not bad. Like, I'm gonna go for the... Or since I'm doing plenty of streams this week, I'm gonna go for the typical stream length of like 2 to 2.5 hours. Thank you, Kipash Carnage. Debating on getting a handle, but don't know if worth it. I'd say the painting handles are definitely worth it, but you don't need to buy one. I'll just give me a sec. I'll show you some of the other, or some of the homemade ones I have, I guess. But getting or like using painting handles, definitely worth it. The Games Workshop painting handles are a little pricey, but like they're the like most tabletop or like hobby stores that sell miniature paints. If they have painting handles, like usually the only one they do have is Games Workshop. There are other companies that make painting handles, but I've never seen them in my local stores. Yeah, I'll grab some painting handles to show you. So I have some like Frontier wargaming products. The wet palette I'm using is a Frontier wargaming wet palette, and my like painting station came with this like wood system where they have these basic painting handles. It's not like as comfortable as the Games Workshop one, and this is just like blue poster tag from the dollar store. But this system, you can see like slots in here, so you have a convenient place to put your minis in. You won't worry about tipping them over. And then we got these two Games Workshop painting handles. This is the first generation one, which I find more comfortable than this one. This one's kind of odd. But you know, they'll both hold minis and do the job. This is like a lot more comfortable to hold than this. And it also has like, it like grabs onto the base of the mini like this, which could be more secure than poster tag. It kind of depends on what the bottom of the base of your mini is. If you wanted to get like fancy, you could like just have glue magnets onto your painting handles and then just always have a magnet attached mini. But the free route, I mean free in quotes, this is like a piece of plastic card with a cork glued onto it, and that's the painting handle. So obviously not super secure. I think I had more made this for like painting arms and sub-assemblies and stuff because I didn't want to just like put it down somewhere where it's just touching the desk when the paint isn't protected, so I could like sit in here and piece could hover in the air. And then this is like an old Citadel color. I wonder if I can open this even. Yep. So just dried up paint in here and just stick poster tack on the top, and there's a painting handle right there. I know other people have used pill bottles, like empty pill bottles. Those work well. I think that's the painting handle I got set up for Blue Parappa when she started painting minis, is like a pill bottle, and then we filled it with weights. So, because like an empty hollow pill bottle would like tip over more, but if you fill it with weights, it feels better in the hand and it's more secure when you put it down for that paint to dry. Alright, there's a quick painting handle tangent for you. That's a whole other question. Base before paint or not? Oh, as in like the base for the mini? Yeah, I mean, you could go either way there. It probably depends on like how intense the painting on your base is. Or I painted a Lizardman Blood Bowl team back in 2020 that I wanted to have clear plastic bases. So I think what a lot of people do in that situation is like or what I did in that situation, what I've seen other people do is you glue the mini to a temporary base just with the smallest amount of super glue. So it's enough to like hold it on there. But then when you're done painting the mini, there's only a little bit of super glue, so you can easily just like snap it off or cut it off with a hobby knife and then glue it onto the base you need. Because if I glued those to the clear bases during the assembly process, then I would have had to like mask around the feet and like around the toes and stuff before like the priming stage, and also be like extra careful when painting then to not like get any brush strokes onto the clear acrylic. So that was one situation where I painted them on just a random leftover base and then transferred it to the actual base after the painting was finished. But a lot of the time that's like more effort than I want to do, if that makes sense. Like it's, yeah, it makes it a bit the painting a bit easier, but it's like the difference is marginal enough that's like I usually save some time by not having to like transfer it to another base. A Tamiya painting handle. Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me if Tamiya made one. It sounds like Kit Bash Carnage, you need to just make some DIY paint handles with some pill bottles or something. You're painting a commissioned Chaos Blood Bowl team. 6 left out of 16. Not bad. Good luck with the rest then. You commissioned the build? So what, you hired some... I'm unclear. Do you hire someone to build them and you're painting them, or you built them and you hired someone else to paint them? Not that it matters, really. Ooh, Artie Chard's testing Lego on Gunpla. Describe to us these Lego Gunpla tests. I am intrigued. This part I'm painting here is like hair. It's okay if it kind of has like a rough look to it. Speaking of Blood Bowl, there's a very large 2-day Blood Bowl tournament going on in the town I live right now. I painted a Lizardman Blood Bowl team, but I sold it because I needed the cash, and I wasn't playing enough Blood Bowl. I think it's a pretty cool game, and respect it. But I had to evaluate all the different games I played or wanted to play and how much time I had to play them, and Blood Bowl had to be cut, unfortunately. But those lizards I painted have been adopted into a new mini loving collection, and will hopefully score some touchdowns or whatever. Alright, now stipple this brighter color around the ankles. Looks like our camera's lagging a bit again. Artie Chart has taken a bit of sprue and spare Lego fin, and they stick. Are you using plastic cement then? Also, hello, Fangire Saga. Congrats on joining the mini painting hobby. Bunkers and Badasses. Is that a game called Bunkers and Badasses? Never heard of it. I see. Kit Bash Carnage. That sounds cool. I mean, with a game like Blood Bowl, it's makes sense to have multiple teams to rotate between anyways. Alright, now I'm just mixing some Baylor Brown back into the Thrall Flesh to just blend the gradient the other way a little bit. Alright, now we want to mix more white in, and for some more dry brushing, probably just on the mane and tail this time. A 40k knight, like the big mech knight? That's one big mini to start for your first one. Artie Chard, that sounds like a fun trip to the Lego store. It's a D&D take on Borderlands based on the DLC from Borderlands 2. Cool. The Xenodragon from Dungeons and Lasers. I've heard of Dungeons and Lasers, but I don't know the Xenodragon. Sounds cool though. Is it like a xenomorph from Aliens type dragon? Or some kind of alien dragon? I feel like I need to switch to more of an actual dry brush here. See if this one can do the trick. I will mix with the actual brush though. Oh, a xenomorph dragon, nice. I am a big fan of the Alien franchise. Even though a lot of the latest entries were pretty not good. I'll still go see Alien Romulus though when that comes out this year. I played in like a 3-shot campaign ran by one of my friends last year, the Alien RPG, the like newer version. I think it's from Modifius. And that was fun. I'd also done a homebrew of like the like I have a book from 1991 of like a Alien Colonial Marines RPG that I ran a homebrew of. I had to do a homebrew because like it was an RPG from 1991, so the rules were just like way crunchier than it needed to be for my group's play style. It was a pretty fun and silly one shot. Yeah, if your first mini was a knight from 40k, that would have, I'd say 6 months is like definitely a fair amount of time to take. Especially when you work full time. Alright, thanks Kit Bash Carnish, appreciate you stopping by. Oh, nice. A knight based off a common rider OC. That's cool. And yeah, a lot of the time I don't paint to official lore accurate paint jobs, so I support your decision. If you watch my video from, not the latest video, the one before, I think it came out in March. This is my color scheme video. I touch on that a bit. Or like my Scorn and Signar armies for War Machine were like started off as the studio paint scheme, but then I made a couple adjustments to give it my own unique twist. Yeah, and like the 40k models I do have are not painted according to like official faction colors. I think we could use a bit of this brighter white around the ankles, just a bit of dabbing around the edge here, and then I think we'll switch over to the darker gradient for the snoot. I think it's just the snoot, or the areas around the eyes too. Yeah, I don't think you can upload pictures to the YouTube live chat. If you tell me your Instagram username, I will follow you. Or Twitter. If you want me to see pics of your night that are on a social media platform, feel free to do a little self-promote in the live chat here. I don't have my own Discord server or anything, but I hang out in the Country Fried Minis Discord server, the Sugar Candy Miniatures Discord server. Well, there's a few, actually. The official Conquest one. There's one called the Brush Coven. I don't post a lot on Discord because it's too easy for me to get distracted on there. But I do share my stuff in there when it's relevant. Ryder Fanboy on X. I'm gonna call it Twitter for as long as I can. Alright, I'll just open a tab to check that out later. Ryder Fanboy. I don't... Oh, are you Impulez006? Ryder Fanboy? Anyways, I'll leave that tab up for later. Now for the... I gotta look at my horse reference photo again. It's like an almost black, dark brown. That's what I'm looking for. It's probably... can probably reactivate some of this paint here to start things off. Good old wet palette coming clutch once again. Okay, it looks like this should be a little darker. So let's just mix this some black right now. I think I need to switch to a smaller brush as well. I'm not worrying too much about getting like a super accurate looking horse here, because I know a lot of like painted horses you'll see for miniatures, it's just like there's no gradients at all, it's just horse, or just like the horse has one color of fur, which is totally fair, especially when you got a lot of horses to paint. But when people see this, the gradient work done here, they'll probably just be like, oh, that's cool that you painted that, and they won't be like, it doesn't quite look like a real horse. As you can see, I'm going for some pretty thin paint. Probably too thin on this side. Now I need to mix in some, or let's pick it up from this side of the palette and just put it in the area of the Baylor brown where it can be reactivated a bit. That's not a very rich looking brown. It's a very beige looking brown. I guess that's how, yeah, I guess that's how color mixing works. I'm gonna have a nice earthy brown palette at the end of this with some green. Okay, we want this to be pretty thin. So we're just blending that edge. Around the eyes, though, we can be a bit less thin. Sorry, camera wasn't in focus there. Okay, we just need a tiny bit more blending with pure Baylor brown. Or almost pure Baylor brown. All right, pretty happy with how that turned out for now. I'm going to pee, and then for the rest of the stream, I think I'm just going to focus on doing some non-horse base coating. Because we've just had like 90 minutes of going hard on some horse painting. Pretty happy with how these two horses have turned out, though. Just I can briefly show you the colors I picked out for the household knights. We got two different browns for these. And yeah, like I was saying with these ones, the only parts of the horse to paint is like their snoots, their front legs, and then their tails. These ones are kind of pretty close in brown, so I'm going to have to use different washes on them to differentiate them a bit. I haven't painted the skin on this one, but this one's just going to be black. Nice and easy. Black, because there's going to be so much color going on with this banner anyways. And then the 2 horses that have already been painted. This one is also black, so we'll have 2 black horses, which is fine. We can't have all of them be a unique color. I would go crazy. And then this one we got gray. You just finished posting all your minis. The night has been on there for a few months. Alright, I'll scroll through that later and give you a follow. Okay, quick bathroom break. Won't be gone long. And I'm back. Hello. Alright, in terms of, if you followed my 100 Kingdoms painting anytime before, I probably explained how for skin tone, I just kind of do a variety of skin tones and kind of wing it for each mini. I mean, not exactly wing it for each mini, but I want the army to be made up of a bunch of different kinds of people from across the lands, so and I got lots of different faces to paint, so I just go for a bunch of different skin tones. I've got a bit of a darker skin tone on this guy's face here. This guy I haven't put the skin tone on yet, but I did got a bit of a kind of auburn hair going on there. And we're gonna have this one have pretty pale skin. And the color I use for that, I know definitely needs like 3 or 4 coats before it starts looking decent. So we're gonna start putting on some of that now. And not in the bin. Let's grab it. There it is. Pale flesh. Vallejo game color pale flesh. I'm running out of space on the wet palette here. I think I'm just going to be janky and like put it on top of another paint. If some other tones get mixed in, it's just going to become part of the skin. It's fine. Well, let's just go for the corner here. Do we want to use a more precise brush? I think I can get away with this one still. Don't want to thin it too much, because we need some solid base coats. And thankfully he is wearing some gloves, so I don't need to worry about painting the fingies. Come on, camera. There you go. Obviously, this pale flesh tone is very, very pale, like too pale when it goes on just as is. But that's what flesh washes are for. It's funny, lately I haven't been having as hard a time painting eyes as usual, but painting eyebrows, that's been had its frustrating moments. But this head in particular doesn't have any headgear at all, so it's one of the more challenging ones. Some of the like mercenary crossbowmen or men-at-arms models is like only like a portion of their face is showing because of what their like helmet or like bandana is covering up. The household knights are all wearing like plate mail, so they don't really have any faces to paint, which, you know, I can't complain about. Alright, we gotta let that dry before the second coat. And while working on that, I'm gonna lay down some base coats for the white on this model. Like with the other standard bearers in the 100 Kingdoms army, the complement color is gonna be white. This shield is painted green now, but I think I want it to be white instead. Either way, I don't know, the shield of the leader model, the unit, it's got like that dark brown base. Actually, yeah, that probably would be more appropriate, even though it's kind of close to the shades on this horse. But these tassels here and the middle square of the flag are going to be white. Do I have the gray next to me? No, of course I don't. Well, let's just add a dark brown to that shield first, and then we'll do the gray later. Let's try and make it an extra dark brown, so it doesn't match the horse. That doesn't look dark enough. Well, let's bring out the big guns and add a straight up drop of the black primer. Just one. Oh, that looks too thin. Yeah, just look at that. That is definitely too thin. I might just have to deal with it. Like the flesh tone we were painting on the other guy, it's just gonna take multiple coats. I mean, everything in general takes multiple coats. Am I right? Trying not to mess up the metallic I already did around the edge. Yeah, there's already so much brown on this model. I mean, I was planning on doing some freehand on the flag here and on the shield, so like that'll pop out on top of the background. That'll probably be something I have to make a decision on later. We could also just go for like black on the shield. Oh, we'll let that dry and go back to the other horse. Back to that pale face. All right, 2 coats were pretty much at a solid coat. While I don't want the flesh tone that's on the palette to go to waste. I do have some other miscellaneous minis across from me now. So I'm just gonna use up some of the flesh tone on them. We'll say I'll grab 2 of them to use this pale flesh tone on. And unfortunately, these crossbow minis are wearing fingerless gloves, so I do have some fingies to paint. Guess they need a bit of extra dexterity to load those crossbow bolts. And doing this pretty early in the painting on these guys, so I can just, it's okay if I just splotch paint on areas they're not supposed to go, because I'll have to paint the color over there later anyways. Yeah, like the crossbow standard bearer here, you can see is most of his face is covered up by a bandana. angling the brush in a way so like there is going to be spillover, but it's onto the bandana, which will have to be repainted anyways. But if we spill onto the brim of the helmet, that the gold or the bronze on that's already been painted, so I don't want to have to go over that again. I'm sorry, I don't know how long the camera was out of focus there. Gotta be careful around this green banner that was already painted. When I have such a large pile of minis to paint, I'll just like jump between things sometimes to like use up paint while it's on the palette. Even though it's like, it's like somewhat of a distraction from trying to like finish the mini that I put the most work into at that moment. But like it's all got to be finished anyways, so like I might as well use the paint and not have it go to waste, and just like get a few extra spots done on some minis down the line. Like the ones I'm supposed to be painting will take a bit longer because of that, but then when I do get to the minis down the line, I'll be like, oh nice, I've already got the face painted on that one. Yeah, a few parts of this guy's face could use a little bit more. Yeah, spilled a bit over onto his hair, but I hadn't fully decided what I wanted his hair color to be anyways. Okay, I'm gonna grab one single men-at-arms to just use the rest of this face paint on. Actually, the 3 regular men-at-arms I have left to paint all have closed face helmets, which I love, but we got the seasoned veteran here, who is not wearing any helmet. How dangerous. Only a hood. Alright, while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'll grab the gray that I had previously mentioned. Pretty sure it was the medium sea gray I was using on the other 100 Kingdoms. Well, it was mostly just pure white, actually, and the one contrast paint I have, Apothecary White, you can see the pigments are not super evenly mixed, but you can hear there's a mixing ball in here, so that'll do the trick. Okay, back to the horsies. The horses heresy. We'll put one more coat of this dark brown onto the standard bear's shield and decide later whether that's what we want to go with for the final result. I think the issue is I haven't decided what I'm gonna paint onto the flat surface for freehand. I'll probably do what I did with one of the kit bashes where I just paint like a fancy M. Maybe a few squiggly lines in there for effect. Alright, I don't want to use too much of this medium sea gray. So we'll go for like just a drop of that, and then we'll add a drop of our dead white. Almost called it skull white. That's an old school Citadel color name, I think. And this is just like the base coat, so just providing a foundation for the final white. I also need to decide what kind of freehand symbol, if any, I'm gonna try and paint on the banner. It's got like a very wavy shape to the sculpt, so it's gonna be a bit of a challenge. I thought about painting these tassels red, because like the tassel on the leader model's hat is red, but I don't want it to read as like too much of a Christmas color scheme, you know? Welcome back, Kit Bash Carnage. Yeah, generally with my 100 Kingdoms color scheme for like the regular grunts in the unit, I don't add red all the time, because red is kind of reserved for if it's an officer model or a character. But there will be some exceptions to that, like the Household Knight's regular standard bearer is going to have some red thrown in just because there's enough detail on it without adding an extra color. It would have like there have been too many like repeat colors, I think. That's a banner that's like there's a lot of detail on it, but it's like sculpted into it, so I don't have to worry about painting any freehand because there isn't really enough space. There are some spaces on the shields of those guys. I might add a couple squiggly lines here and there though. Thank you, Kip Ash Carnage. I don't remember when exactly you headed out, but I'll just show you both horses here. You can see where the progress was made on the actual horses themselves. So this brush is pretty large and imprecise, so I'll use it to quickly fill in the middle part of the flag here, but we'll have to switch to a smaller brush to paint the borders with the green, because we don't want to spill onto the green, obviously. When I painted the green, I didn't have to worry about that, and as you can see, it spilled all over into the middle section. Oh, we're broke 2 hours now. I'm starting to get a little shaky from the coffee and having only eaten a little bit of food. So we'll see how I'm feeling after I'm doing this gray base coating. But there will be more streams in the coming days, do not worry. Thank you, Kip Ash Carnage, appreciate that. Smaller brush time. This one is not good at holding a tip, but if there's enough paint on it, it can have like an okay tip. Well, let's go the other side. And like I use a brown wash on the green as I did with the other minis, so I'll probably be doing that again, and there's a good chance some of that brown wash will spill onto this gray area, so I probably shouldn't focus on like building this up to its proper white until after the brown wash stage is done. But it's fine to get this base coating done now at least. Generally, I try and get all the base layers on before any washing is done. And on that line of thinking, I shouldn't stress out too much about spilling some gray onto the green on this stage. But I'll do my best to avoid it. It's getting a little unwieldy to paint here. But we're getting there. If everything goes well today, I can finish the mounted squires today, and then hopefully tomorrow finish the household knights. But it's going to be a real marathon because I procrastinated a bit last week. Boo-hoo. I'm one of those people that procrastinates pretty easily, and then when the deadline is actually approaching, it's like, oh god, here we go. Let's get this done. I mean, this isn't like a deadline like a university paper where like I'm gonna fail a course if I don't finish. This is all just like a personal... It's like I would really personally like to get these finished in time for GameCon, but at least I have the fail-safe of like, if I don't get everything painted in time, I have still gotten enough painted over the last year that it's like gonna be fine, and we'll have enough. WB Kit Bash, what's that mean? Alright, well, there's gray on the palette, and the household knights are gonna need this gray, so let's just move on to them for the rest of the stream. If I didn't know that I was gonna be doing like at least 2 more streams after this week, I would aim to like maybe try and hit 3 hours, but as I said, there's gonna be a lot more streaming, so we're not gonna do that. Man, it's something about just painting big flat base coats. With paint thinned to the proper ratio is just satisfying. Oh, you're saying welcome back, right? I should have figured that out. I was like, what's a WB Kit Bash? What models are those? The underside of the cape here, it'll be worth getting a fairly solid base coat now because it's the underside of the cape, so it doesn't really need any highlights. So we can just get a nice solid base coat in now and then don't have to touch it again, in theory. I'm sorry, I don't even know if it was in frame while I was painting it there. And yeah, it's also the underside of the cape, so like almost no one is gonna see it. So it's just a bad idea to like spend a bunch of time trying to paint it exactly right. It seems like by the time we're done painting this cape, we'll have used up the rest of the paint on the palette, and we'll be at a good stopping point. And now I've like had to thin it a bit more to stretch it out, and we're getting dangerously thin. So maybe we won't quite finish this cape. But every brush stroke brings me one step closer. At the end of this, I won't I won't have a fully painted 2,000 point army, but it'll be like I haven't mathed out all the upgrades. I might be able to like get it to 1,500 points, depending on what upgrades I take. I'm one of those people when it's like, when I'm making my list to bring to a tournament, the main list building strategy is, what can I get to fully painted? Because I'm typically not a hardcore enough gamer to like win any tournaments. So I have more chances of winning Best Painted. Which the Conquest tournament I hosted last weekend, I did win Best Painted. With the Spires army. So my strategy of like, I'm not going to play an optimized list, I'm going to play a list that I know I can have fully painted, paid off. And I think I've stretched the gray paint on there out as much as I can. So I'm going to start wrapping up the stream now. But I should be able to just open my calendar here and tell you all when the next one will be exactly. Alright, so it's safe to say the next stream will be tomorrow morning at the same time. 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Maybe if I'm feeling super adventurous tonight, I'll do a spontaneous like evening stream, but that'll be one where I just like I won't schedule it ahead of time. You might just see me appear live. And yeah, hopefully if you tune into the stream tomorrow, I'll be triumphantly like the mounted squires are done. If I'm still painting the mounted squires by tomorrow morning stream, then it's like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna get all this painted in time, because I got today, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So gotta be disciplined. We'll see. Switch back to that tab. Okay, well, thanks for watching this stream, everybody. I know most of the subscribers here are here to see me paint Gunpla, so when you show up to watch the non-Gunpla streams anyways, means a lot to me. And yeah, I will hopefully see some of you back for the next painting stream tomorrow, and until then, wish me luck to get all this painting done, because I'll need it. Goodbye.